Hello, this is Jim Bernardine from TeamBernardine.com. I want to talk about a series that we're working on, and the series really details on what it takes to be a buyer in this market and how the paperwork works, and basically how it works from the real estate side. So, first document we're going to talk about is the consumer notice, and yes, I know it's backwards because I'm putting it on the screen there. So this is called the consumer notice. On the first line that I've highlighted, the first line is this is not a contract, and the point of that is really this is just a notice, hence the consumer notice, and we're notifying you that there are different agencies that we can work from. So the first one that talks about, I'm going to keep looking down because I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. First one is a seller's agent. A seller's agent, which is normally my side of the team, is I like to do the listing or the selling, and then we have some buyer's agents on our team as well. So the selling agent is the agent that you would use to sell your house. So basically I would come over, perform a listing appointment, and if we list your house, I have now become your selling agent or your listing agent. That's one type of agency. The second type of agency would be a buyer's agent, which would mean that I would actually put you in my car per se and take you to houses until you find the right house to buy. And on that facility, I would be your buyer's agent. So we're nice and clean. We have the seller's agent or the listing agent and the buyer's agent, the buying agent. The next step would be a dual agent. Not a big fan of. It works in some situations, but in general it can be difficult. A dual agent would be that I would be the listing agent and I would bring a buyer in and we would try to make that relationship work. It's a little difficult because, in this whole process there's some fiduciary duties that we have to be concerned about. And hiring an agent and putting him in one capacity or the other is a great tool. So if I'm your selling agent, I am guarding the seller's information. If I'm your buyer's agent, I'm guarding the buyer's agent or the buyer in themselves. If I become a dual agent, I now have to be careful and marry the two together. And in that position, at least from my point of view, every once in a while I get myself in this situation where it's just the best thing for the buyer and seller, but I almost have to be what they consider a transactional agent where I listen to what the seller has to say and I give them the information, then I listen to what the buyer has to say and I will bring that information back. At that point, it's almost like I'm just the middleman to give the information out. It's a tough way to go. Some situations it works. Not a big fan of it, but some agents are very good at it and it works for them. Another agent we have is designated. A designated would be if you're working for a large broker, and some brokers designate buyer's agents or listing agents. We do that a little bit on our team as well. So we do have some situations where, I bring in a listing and they have a buy side. I send them out with my buyer's agent. It's basically the definition of a designated agent. It's not really kind of that way, but it is. So again, in this contract, I'm going to change pages. There's a lot more information on that, and you can see that this is page number 2. What I do have highlighted here, I'm going to read for word just to kind of go through it. So basically what this notice is for is to put you on notice that there's 3 different types of agencies plus designated that you could be aware of or be put into. And it's important to understand what the Pennsylvania laws are for all this. Okay, the last part basically says word for word, before you discuss any financial information to a licensee, be advised that unless you select a business relationship by signing a written agreement, the licensee is not representing you. A business relationship is not presumed. So basically in saying that, if I come over to your house as a listing agent and we perform a listing consultation and you decide that we're the right team to sell your house, we will enter an agreement, we will enter a contract. At that point, I have fiduciary duties and I have certain rights that I have to protect you as my client. Same thing on the buyer side. The next document we're going to really be talking about will be buyer's agency or exclusive buyer's agency. And it is a detailed contract of what it takes for a person to sign up and be a buyer's agent. My favorite part about the buyer's agency is, and we'll kind of talk about this as the series goes along, is that is free. A buyer does not pay in the transaction. All the transaction costs come out of the sell side. So basically, we're going back and forth. I'm the listing agent. We present a certain number as what we're offering to sell the house for. We list that on the market and we're willing to pay that much. Well, what we're paying out is what the buyer's agent will get paid by. So again, why wouldn't you sign a buyer's agency, have your fiduciary duties guarded, be under contract and follow laws and rules and be in that situation. I mean, like, it just makes complete sense, especially since it's for free. I mean, I know in this day and age, the buyers can look up all the information they want. It's all on the internet as far as how much a house costs, all the amenities in the house. You can even look up a lot of times what they paid for the house, when the last sale was, what the comps are on the street. You can look up schools. You can look up the demographics of the neighborhood. All that's great information. But a strong buyer's agent, like we have on our team, what they will do is they will help you take all the information, digest it, and understand why it works for you, which is a great piece. And again, we do that for free because the seller of the home that you're going to purchase is going to pay our fee. I mean, I think to me that's a win-win situation. So please stay tuned. This is step number 1 or series number 1 out of about 9 series. We're going to actually go through all the steps and all the contracts and all the document it takes to purchase a home. So we are on the consumer notice level, and basically it is a notice that should be handed to you as soon as we start talking about real estate. So say we meet at a grocery store, we meet at an open house, whatever the situation is, we can explain niceties, we can kind of talk about what's going on. But if you really want to have protection, you need to go past the consumer notice, you need to be notified of what